the room of requirement. Today I'm going to be talking about the Golden Dawn, Quareia, Bardon, Franz Bardon, and Thelema. This was a subscriber request. They asked about my opinion, so I'm going to be talking about this. Okay, so here was the direct comment that was left. This is by Yutsuro3962. Thank you for being a source of knowledge and wisdom on my spiritual journey. Would you consider sharing your opinion on the specific systems of the Golden Dawn, Quareia, Bardon, and Thelema in a video? And so thank you so much for saying that. That means the world to me, that I'm a source of knowledge and wisdom for you on your journey. That is what I've been striving to do this entire time that I started teaching and mentoring people. So I just wanted to thank you, and I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so I had a subscriber recently ask for my thoughts on 4 occult and esoteric systems that are often discussed in serious magical circles. The Golden Dawn, Quareia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Franz Bardon's Hermetic system, and Thelema. But before I share any personal opinions, I want to do something really important first. I want to clearly explain which each of these systems actually is, where it comes from, and what kind of magical or spiritual philosophy that it represents. These systems are often mentioned online without context, and they're very different from one another, so understanding the foundation matters. So you guys know how I roll. I do everything very deeply. I always tell you what it is, where it comes from. Okay. All right, so the Golden Dawn. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was a ceremonial, magical order founded in England in 1888. Its influence on Western occultism cannot be overstated. Most modern ceremonial magic systems either descend directly from it or are heavily influenced by it. The Golden Dawn synthesized multiple order traditions into a single initiatory framework, including Hermetic philosophy, Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, tarot, and ceremonial ritual magic. The system is structured around graded initiation, with each grade corresponding to a level of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Advancement is meant to reflect spiritual, psychological, and symbolic development. Golden Dawn practice emphasizes ritual structure, symbolic understanding, magical tools, and precise ceremonial work. It is a system designed to teach how symbols, correspondences, and ritual action interact to shape consciousness and magical perception. Historically, the Golden Dawn also fractured due to internal conflicts, which led to many offshoots, but its core framework remains foundational to Western ceremonial magic. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. One of the most influential systems in Western ceremonial magic, it provides a symbolic and ritual framework rather than a direct inner training. Best understood as a magical language system, strength lies in correspondence, structure, and ritual precision. The system excels at teaching how magic is structured, but it does not automatically teach embodiment or integration. It's a map, not a territory. So I'm just going to go through the foundations, but I'm going to get more into my personal feelings later on in the video. So what the Golden Dawn requires, what you will actually be doing: learning complex rituals, memorizing symbolism, correspondences, and invocations, working with magical tools, wands, cups, pentacles, and swords, studying astrology, tarot, Kabbalah, and alchemy. Foundational knowledge needed is comfort with symbolism and abstraction, willingness to study extensively, and I mean extensively, ability to follow structure and hierarchy, patience with slow intellectual integration. It is not ideal for people seeking immediate mystical experience or those who struggle with structure or memorization, because it is a lot. Quareia is a modern magical training system created by Josephine McCarthy in the early 21st century. So this is very, very new. Okay. Unlike older occult orders, it is self-directed, non-initiatory in the traditional sense, and publicly available. It was created as a complete training course rather than a secret society. It draws on Western magical traditions, but places a strong emphasis on discernment, ethics, spiritual responsibility, and long-term development. The system is divided into stages: apprentice, initiate, and adept. and focuses on inner training, magical perception, and the consequences of magical action, which I believe is really important. It deliberately avoids glamour, hierarchy, and personality-driven authority. It is designed to train practitioners to understand magic as a serious discipline rather than a lifestyle or identity. The system is known for being demanding, slow, and highly selective through its structure rather than through external gatekeeping, which I think that's good. A modern, non-romanticized magical training system, it emphasizes ethics, consequence, and discernment. It removes hierarchy, secrecy, and glamour. It treats magic as a responsibility and not an identity. My view is Quareia is one of the most grounded modern systems available, but it is intentionally demanding and unsentimental. It filters people through effort rather than initiation. So what you would actually be doing. Long-term solo study and practice, developing perception before action, learning when not to act magically, and engaging with spiritual consequences. Foundational knowledge needed, emotional maturity, ability to self-direct without validation, comfort working alone, and respect for restraint and responsibility. It is not ideal for people seeking quick power or those that need constant feedback or reassurance. Franz Bardon and the Hermetic Initiation. I personally like Franz Bardon's work. I've studied it. It's really dense. Okay, so Franz Bardon was a 20th century Hermetic teacher whose work is best known through the book Initiation into Hermetics. Bardon's system is often misunderstood as ceremonial magic, but is actually a form of classical Hermetic inner development. His approach focuses on the disciplined training of thought, emotion, will, and physical conduct. Rather than beginning with ritual magic, Bardon requires students to achieve balance within themselves before moving into external magical practice. The system is structured as a series of progressive steps, each one requiring mastery before moving forward. There is no emphasis on groups, temples, or outer hierarchy. Bardon's work reflects an older Hermetic ideal, that true magical authority arises from internal mastery rather than symbolic initiation. Because of this, his system is often described as demanding, solitary, and uncompromising. And it is. It surely is. Initiation into Hermetics, a classical Hermetical system of inner mastery. No ritual magic at first, only discipline. Focused on balance, self-command, and integrity. Bardon's work is not flashy, mystical, or performative. It is one of the most psychologically honest systems available and one of the most demanding. What you would actually be doing with Bardon's work. Daily mental and emotional exercises, self-observation and correction, elemental self-analysis, and progressive discipline over long periods. Foundational knowledge needed, self-honesty, willingness to confront inner imbalance, strong personal discipline, and comfort with slow, solitary work. It is not ideal for people looking for group identity or those who avoid inner confrontation. Thelema. Thelema is a spiritual and magical philosophy founded by Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century. The central text of Thelema is the Book of the Law, which outlines the core principle, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. In Thelemic philosophy, true will refers to individuals' essential purpose or spiritual trajectory, not impulse or indulgence as is often mischaracterized. Thelema integrates ceremonial magic, mysticism, yoga, astrology, and symbolic ritual, while emphasizing personal destiny and spiritual autonomy. Unlike systems focused on conformity or hierarchy, Thelema places the individual at the center of the spiritual realization. This philosophy has been influential, controversial, and widely debated due to its emphasis on freedom, authority, and self-definition. So this was created by Aleister Crowley. He was originally a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. He got kicked out of several of them. So he's the one that created Thelema. So you're going to have a background of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn with Thelema, with Crowley's added in things. Okay. Aleister Crowley, a spiritual philosophy centered on true will, emphasizes self-knowledge, autonomy, and destiny. It integrates ritual, mysticism, yoga, and symbolism. Thelema can be profoundly liberating or deeply destabilizing. Depending on the maturity of the practitioner, it magnifies whatever is already present. What you would actually be doing: studying symbolic and mystical texts, engaging in ritual and contemplative practices, exploring identity beyond social conditioning, and working with personal authority. The foundational knowledge needed is strong self-reflection skills, capacity for self-responsibility, discernment between impulse and purpose, and willingness to question identity. It is not ideal for people prone to ego inflation or those seeking external authority. Okay, so here's a comparison with the system. So we have the system, the core focus, and the primary emphasis. The Golden Dawn core focus is symbolic ritual, structure, and correspondence. Quareia is ethical magic, discernment, and responsibility. Bardon's work, core focus is inner mastery, and the primary emphasis is discipline and balance. Thelema is true will, and identity and autonomy. So what kind of seekers each one attracts? Okay, so the Golden Dawn is going to be structured learners, symbolic thinkers. Quareia is mature, disciplined, responsibility-oriented seekers. Bardon is solitary, disciplined inner workers. And Thelema is independent seekers exploring purpose and identity. Final discernment. I want to make it very clear that no system replaces self-knowledge. No system guarantees wisdom. And depth amplifies both clarity and confusion. Readiness matters more than lineage. The right system is not the most powerful one, but the one you are prepared to carry. So basically, my background is completely Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So I'm kind of biased towards that. And me personally, I like a lot of structure and I think very symbolically. So that's the system that basically I am biased towards because that's the one that I've been studying. I've studied other systems of magic, but I personally prefer Western esotericism, which is basically Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn that influenced most of what we see out there today. So now that we've laid the foundation for what these systems actually are, this is where personal discernment matters. These paths are not interchangeable, and they are not neutral in their effects. So each one assumes a different relationship to authority, discipline, power and responsibility, and identity. And this is where I want to shift from explanation into perspective. So I approach all magical systems through the lens of a self-taught ceremonial magician whose core training and practice are rooted in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn tradition and Hermetic philosophy. This system forms the structural backbone of my work, my teaching, my understanding of magical development as a long-term initiatory process, rather than a collection of techniques. What I value most about the Golden Dawn system is its clear initiatory structure, its emphasis on elemental equilibrium, its disciplined ritual grammar, and its symbolic depth that trains the psyche, the imagination, and the nervous system simultaneously. So it does not rush the practitioner towards power or results. It focuses on becoming someone capable of holding power responsibly. And this right here is the most important for me. Hermeticism for me is not an aesthetic or theoretical. It's a living philosophy that teaches that imbalance distorts perception and that inner order must precede outer operation. For these reasons, Golden Dawn-based ceremonial work remains my primary and preferred system. So I've been in this world a long time, over 25 years. And since I was a teenager, I've always been into basically practical magic. So we're talking like, Wiccan systems, things like that is where I started out. Okay. So I started out in the low magic realm. When I say low, I don't mean it's worse than anything else. I just mean there's high magic and then there's low magic. Low magic comes from high magic. All of that stuff comes from esotericism originally. From there, I went on to Buddhism for quite some time in my early 20s. And then eventually, through years of study, there was a period there where I was raising a family and I worked a lot. So I didn't spend as much time, but I've always had some sort of practice. And then eventually I came across the work of Damien Eccles. And he has been kind of like this indirect mentor for me for a long time. And I started following his work. I've read all of his books. So if you're wanting to get into esotericism, and you have to have kind of a background in like all the different correspondences and everything, or else you won't really understand like the higher level things. I got out some books that I recommend if you're wanting to get into ceremonial magic or the Hermetic or the Golden Dawn or even Franz Bardon's work. Here's the thing, you don't have to stick with one thing. I didn't. I just landed on this and I've been with it for the longest time, right? It's where I seen the most growth for me on a spiritual level is when I started practicing ceremonial magic. It completely changed my life and it led to a lot of spiritual growth over time. When you first start doing these things, it takes you a while to learn how to embody and to integrate the teachings that you're learning. 5 years ago, I was performing these things. I was performing ritual magic, but I didn't fully grasp all of it as a whole together, exactly what I was doing, how I needed to do the rituals, because I'm completely self-taught. So I highly recommend Damien Eccles' work. So start with High Magic first, okay, because then the next book that he put out, which is a companion to this one, is Angels and Archangels, okay. He breaks it down really easily. Another book that I highly recommend if you're wanting to start out, especially in the Golden Dawn. See, Franz Bardon's work has a lot to do with a lot of the same subjects that the Golden Dawn teaches, okay, especially Hermeticism, right? If you just study Hermeticism period by itself, that's going to give you a lot of foundational work into it's going to eventually lead into Kabbalah and then into ceremonial magic. The other one that I recommend is Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. And this is the book that I actually teach my students from. Okay, so when I go through this entire book with them, and then we read these, and then, I show them how to do it. So those are the books that I recommend. Just know that you're going to change your path several times. You're going to learn more, you're going to grow, and you're going to be more drawn to specific magical systems. But what I love about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is it's very encompassing and it covers a lot of different things like tarot, alchemy, astrology. Those things are very foundational to any practice of any of these systems that the subscriber has asked me to talk about. You are going to be learning about those things regardless. What I like about the Hermetic or the Golden Dawn is how structured they are. If you're a person that needs a lot of structure and a specific, okay, this is where I need to start and this is where I need to end, then that gives you a little bit of a better grasp on your goals and what you need to learn and what you need to memorize and what you need to get yourself into and master before you can move on. Okay, so those are the basic systems. My very last slide of this video, I'm going to talk about all the foundational knowledge that you need to work in any system. So basically, this is like my personal opinion on what I think, encompasses everything. But don't limit yourself to one system. If you're drawn to another system, try it. I'm not trying to say, hey, these other systems are bad and this one's better. Personally, for me, I just like the structure of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I like things laid out before me. Okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, and this is what I need to do. And I have to learn this to be able to do this. And then as you're doing it, that's when you learn more. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay. So my position on Thelema and Crowley. A lot of people love Crowley and they are super into him and they think, he's super great. I, however, do not. I don't. I might upset a lot of people, but I was asked to give my opinion, so I'm giving my opinion. So I want to speak clearly and very respectfully here. I acknowledge and respect the immense historical influence of Aleister Crowley. Modern ceremonial magic would not exist in its current form without his contribution to the ritual revival and the cult revival, magical literacy, and public visibility. However, Thelema is not a system that I personally resonate with or practice. I've studied some of it, but my reasons are specific and measured. I do not resonate with Crowley as a person or an energetic influence, and this is because of the lifestyle that he lived. You can Google it and you can look. I'm sure not all of it is completely true, and we weren't there in that time period, so we don't really know. But I do not align with the sex magic practices associated with Thelema or the OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis. I do, however, like his will-centric structure that prioritizes personal sovereignty. This does not invalidate Thelema as a path. It simply does not align with my values, boundaries, or my pedagogical ethics. I respect Crowley's contributions, but I do not work within his framework. And that's completely fine if you do. There's nothing wrong with that. There is a lot of really good stuff and a lot of really good work that he has done over the years to contribute to the occult community, and I respect him for that. I just personally do not like his systems. Okay, so Quareia, a modern mystical curriculum. Honestly, I had never heard of this before, but what I did was I went directly to the website and I looked through every bit of their curriculum. That's what took me so long to put this together. I really wanted to make sure that I had a really good idea of this system, and I went through its entire website and its entire curriculum and looked through it and compared it to what I know. So after reviewing the curriculum directly, I find it to be intelligently designed and thoughtfully constructed. It intentionally removes much of the rigid doctrine and inherent dogma found in older ceremonial systems, and instead emphasizes discernment, inquiry, and personal interpretation. I just prefer old things. I like older systems of magic. I like systems of magic that have been around for a really, really, really long time, that have a lot of energy behind them, because I'm connecting with that work directly. So I want something that's been used for a really long time. Rather than instructing students on what to believe, Quareia encourages them to engage directly with material, form their own conclusions, develop discernment through experience. The curriculum covers many of the same foundational territories as traditional systems: ritual, perception, symbolism, inner development, but does not do so without binding the student to a fixed lineage, mythos, or ceremonial identity. There's a strong mystical undercurrent throughout the training, with an emphasis on understanding magic as an integrated whole rather than a series of isolated practices. So I really liked that part of it, and there is a lot of really good information in there, and it really teaches you to think for yourself, which I really like. Because of this, I see Quareia as especially well suited for individuals with little or no background in magical systems, students seeking a clear, structured introduction to complex esoteric material, those who value broad understanding over immediate specialization, and I genuinely appreciate its approach and integrity. With that said, I personally prefer the symbol-dense ceremonial grammar of the system I was trained in. This is not an opposition, it's just orientation. So Quareia and Golden Dawn speak different dialects of the same current. So I did find a lot of similarities, and I liked that very much. After studying the work of Franz Bardon, I found his body of work deeply fascinating and absolutely worthy of study. Bardon's system stands apart from traditional Western ceremonial magic in that it represents a true synthesis of Eastern and Western magical disciplines. That's what I really liked about it too, because I have a background in Eastern and Western. I just prefer Western, but I do like a lot of the systems of the Eastern. So his work integrates ceremonial magic and inner alchemy, strong hermetic foundations, Kabbalistic principles, and distinct elements of Christian mysticism. I really like that. He had a personal background of Christian mysticism, which I currently am into and am drawn to and studying myself as just personal interests, because I have family members that were members of the Rosicrucians, so I'm really into that whole lineage. So this blending creates a unique system that focuses heavily on inner mastery, elemental equilibrium, and disciplined imagination rather than outward ritual complexity alone. Okay, so his work is heavy, heavy, heavy on introspection, going within, looking at yourself, seeing why you do the things you do, and you should be doing that. It's very important. So I highly recommend his work as well. Okay, what I find especially compelling is that Bardon's work prioritizes the development of the operator before the pursuit of advanced magical operations. In many ways, his approach asks a fundamental question. Can you govern your own inner world before attempting to influence the unseen? When you also consider Bardon's unusual life story, his work becomes even more intriguing. He was not only a serious esotericist, but also a stage magician. A fact that likely contributed to why his work receives far less recognition than other modern magicians of his era. Within the magical community, great effort has historically been made to distinguish ceremonial magic from stage illusion, and this association may have caused Bardon to be dismissed or overlooked. But if you're deep into this path, you've definitely read his work. I mean, because it's fascinating. It's absolutely fantastic. Which in my view is unfortunate that, you know, he kind of had that background going on. So because of his system, when approached with patience, sanity, and balance, others have profound insight into inner alchemy and hermetic self-mastery, and can serve as a powerful foundation beneath any ceremonial tradition. So absolutely, Hermeticism is the backbone of Western ceremonial magic. You've got to have somewhat of a background in it to understand the complex concepts and thought patterns of the system itself. So each of these systems trains a different faculty of consciousness. Golden Dawn trains symbolic literacy, ritual discipline, and initiatory progression. Hermeticism provides philosophical coherence and balance. Thelema emphasizes sovereignty and will, which I'm super big on. Okay, so I do love that part of it. Quareia develops discernment and mystical literacy. Bardon refines inner mastery and elemental equilibrium. And there's no single correct path. Okay, so what matters is the right relationship between the practitioner, the structure, the temperament, and your personal ethics. So for me, the relationship is ceremonial, hermetic, disciplined, and symbolically precise. Magic does not reward chaos. It amplifies what already exists within you. So choose a system that teaches you how to become someone worthy of that amplification. Okay, so foundational knowledge needed to get started on any of these systems. If you have to master these subjects to be able to understand and put the system into practice. The elements, okay? Really good understanding of the elements, what they are and how they work, and how they relate to you in daily life. Astrology, that's really huge, especially if you're going to be practicing high magic. You got to have a basic knowledge of astrology because high magic is astrology. Numerology, that's also going to help you as well, especially when you start getting into studying gematria and all of that. Meditation, number one. Ritual magic is nothing, it's just meditation, okay? Not just meditation, but when you are performing the rituals, you are meant to get into a meditative state when you're performing them. And meditation is good for nervous system regulation, which you need to be able to integrate the energy that you're trying to take in from ceremonial magic. Symbolic thinking, you have to be able to think in symbols. Hermetic philosophy, self-observation, discipline, for one. This is not for somebody who's not very disciplined or doesn't like structure. It's just not going to work. Ethical responsibility, precise language, patience with the process. Because this is, you gotta, the journey. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And magical systems do not create readiness, they reveal it. Okay, so I hope this helps you. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I really appreciate when you guys ask me to do things. I don't mind doing it at all. It just might take me a little while to get it done because I have a structure of the videos that are coming out. So thank you guys for sticking around, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.